Choo choo, here we go again, visiting my most local and most lovely model railway exhibition at St. Luke's Anglican Church. This is the 30th anniversary of this exhibition. This was held in November of 2016. My son is with me and he brought along a funny little smiley face thing to feature on the layouts. I can smell the sausages sizzling, I can hear the trains are rumbling. Let's do it! The first model railway we are going to marvel at is called Steve's Follies. This is HOE scale and it's classified as a scenic layout. It is stunning to look at. HOE scale is lovely because you're using the very common HO track, which uses O gauge rolling stock and is usually depicting narrow gauge railways. Steve's Follies was completed after 50 years of trying, so maybe that's why it's called Steve's Follies. The control system for this railway is very nice looking. It's called Kato Unitrack, and what I like about this is it actually looks like the controls that you would see on a real train. Now I'm sure that's something that anyone who's into trains is always going to enjoy looking at. Seeing this beautiful yet compact model railway is yet another tick of approval for the HOE scale. The next layout we're going to take a look at is one which is always there at that train show. Over the years of coming to St. Luke's, I've seen this morph and change, and I think get bigger and better over the years. It's called Defty. Let me read from a little pamphlet that I'm given as I enter the train show. This is the club's OO scale modular layout. It allows members to run long trains that may not fit on their smaller home layouts. Rob Evans will be running the live steam locomotives at regular intervals, and we'll take a look at the live steam stuff a little bit further on in the video. Defty is basically a giant dog bone shaped layout. It's modular, that means it breaks down into smaller pieces, so between the tables that it's made up on there are little joins. This year round, this is the first time I saw Defty set up in an area where there was sun coming in on a layout, so it was actually getting hot spots and cold spots. Do you know what happens when things get hot? They start to expand. And I think what was going on with Defty this year was that being in the sun, it was causing all sorts of train havoc. I'm sort of semi-renowned for getting hand of God shots at model railway exhibitions. I love getting hand of God shots at St. Luke's. It sort of go hand in hand, don't they? But anyway, Defty was playing up this year, but hey, I can make the best of that anytime. Defty is really all about having a nice, great big long layout with great big long straight where you can get the trains going at a really good speed. Because it's modular, the pieces on there aren't really stuck down, it all comes off, it all gets packed away in boxes, and sometimes that's the best fun to have of model railways. You don't have to go crazy with scenic layouts that are sort of stuck and never change. Being modular and changing it up all the time, hey, sometimes that's the best thing to do. The next display we're going to take a look at, it's fantastic. I think it's called Land. I never say right, I always say different things. It's by Richie Dulin, and this is always morphing and changing, and I even got a hand of God shot in of Richie fixing up this magnificent display. I'll read from the pamphlet here. Land returns to St. Luke's after another year of reimagining and rebuilding. New attractions this year include the trebuchet, it's hard for me to say difficult words like that, and roquet jets, along with old favourites such as the drag and drop. This Lego display is interactive, children can push buttons and make things work, and it's one of those things, the more you look at this, the more detail you see, the more crazy minifigures and themes that are going on within this Lego display and train layout. And I had a chat to Richie, and I've got to know him over the years, and he showed me some amazing pictures of Thunderbird craft that he's developing because he sort of knows me, he knows what I like. And I think I might have seen one of the Space 1999 Eagles as well. I think Richie and me have a very similar interest in things in a sense. I like the way he builds stuff, and maybe I'll have to do a very special video about what he gets up to. I'm sure maybe one day that could possibly happen. One little secret I like about Lego Luxland is, and maybe some people don't notice this, it's actually multi-layered, and that makes it nice and compact. The footprint that this display has is actually quite small, and as soon as you start adding layers, and it's so easy to do this with Lego, you can really build a very intense item to look at, which really doesn't kill much space, and I think that's the glory of this display. I know a lot of LEGO fanboys will be gawking at the LEGO monorail that Richie has on his display, and what he's modelled there is one of the Sydney trains as a monorail. It looks fantastic, but go onto eBay and just check out the prices that the classic LEGO monorail will pull. Quite astounding how much it goes up in price every year. And also the older classic LEGO train sets from the 80s and 90s, before it became plastic fantastic. Go and take a look at how much money those classic LEGO sets pull. It's astonishing to see the value of LEGO as a toy over time. It's something you don't see of many other toys. I'm just looking at the spelling of this display, and I've always said LEGO Luxland. Very fast, of course, but maybe it's best said Leguxland. I'll have to ask Richie next time I see him exactly how do you pronounce the name of this display. LEGO Luxland, Leguxland? What does it all mean? The next layout is completely amazing. It's a trip to the country in a sense. I dare say it's in the Oregon part of the USA. I'm only making it up, I didn't read it anywhere. It's one of these displays where you basically get assaulted by the detail. There's nothing wrong with that, and if you're doing N-scale modelling, often it's the detail that will make or break your display. This one's called Mosquito Hill, and I'll read on here from a little book, a highly detailed N-scale logging layout, and it says to browse the albums which are around this display to understand how it was made. Now the first thing I'll say is I would hate to think how many hours have gone into detailing this layout. There's a fantastic cheat in this layout where it makes it look like there's a great depth and height in what's going on. It's very cleverly made, and it's really one of these displays that's all about the scenery. The train's almost like a secondary item. And even the detailing on the train is amazing, and I can come in with my camera and you'd think you're sort of in the real world looking at something totally awesome. N-scale is tiny scale. The way I videoed this, it makes it look like something much larger. It's an absolute credit to Daniel Thompson, who exhibited this quite amazing layout. And now for something totally different. At this year's Model Railway exhibition at St. Luke's, they had a puppet show, and the nebulous of the story was about what happens if you don't make it to the train exhibition. Well, I know what would happen if I didn't make it. I wouldn't be able to make an amazing video about this train show. The next layout is very much a trip back in time, back to when things were made correctly, back to when things were made very good. Classic Hornby, this has been titled as, and I'm reading from the little pamphlet here, this vintage O Gauge Hornby and Meccano display features items dating from the 1920s through to the 1960s. There was also a little plaque there which explained about this and the dates, and it says that the best dates for this stuff is around the 1930s, a little bit on from that. A very, very nice train set, the sort of thing I would hate to think how much money is on the table there. If you like to play toy trains and have them as something to enjoy and also a very worthwhile investment, I think this is the style of railway to get into. I can't see how anything like this could go down in value over time. The nice things about this layout is of course the scale and the little snapshot of time that it is, because it's sort of replicating a bit of a bygone era, but I think one of the nicest things about these styles of display is the sound of the train on those metal tracks. It just sounds awesome. And the Thompson tank, which is there on display, is, I believe, the large metal Erdl from many, many years back, which has been morphed onto the undercarriage of the Hornby O Gauge system. These styles of toy trains are the classic example of something you may see in an antique shop, which has got a price tag which could be like hundreds of dollars, but then you hop onto eBay and you might find someone selling exactly the same item for, let's say, $25. If you are going to venture into this totally awesome style of railway, boy oh boy, do you have to do your homework and understand exactly what you're purchasing. And the centrepiece of this beautiful vintage Hornby railway was a gigantic Meccano crane, built in very much the classic Meccano style using classic Meccano. Meccano is still around, the toy has morphed and changed to adapt to today's generation, but I'm not sure exactly how many people are really into Meccano these days. And now might be a nice time to revisit Defty to take a look at the Hornby Live Steam demonstration that Rob Evans does. I've seen this a couple of years running and it's always impressive to watch. The Hornby Live Steam system is a very unusual system where a small scale train is basically powered by steam. It's something you don't see very often. It needs a dedicated track, and Rob's got that on the Defty layout. It also enjoys a nice long layout where the track has been basically soldered together. I think these are things that are really important to do with this style of railway. Rob has also changed the way he controls the train. He's got a little handheld controller which has 2 red buttons. I think Rob explained to me there was a live steam club in the UK that had developed this controller to help in controlling these Hornby trains. I hope I've got that right there. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Rob also told me that the Hornby Live Steam controller, which had the little lever that you tapped from side to side to give power to the train, was a little bit vague. I think he gets more control from the button controller that he's got now.
Yeah, well, that's the safety valve going on. Full pressure.
The Hornby Live Steam system, it's one of those things that divides the railway community. You'll see people on forums who denounce this system, and then you'll see people who praise it. Look at the prices that this system is pulling, especially if someone hasn't tried to tinker with it. Be very careful if you are going to buy one of these, because you may be picking up a system that someone has basically destroyed in trying to make it run. This is a very unusual railway system, and you have to do a lot of research and be very careful if you're going to come in and try and buy a set now. These Hornby sets are no longer available, and it's sort of sad that they got discontinued. And one thing about the Hornby Live Steam is it can do some really good high speeds and can pull a lot of carriages. One good thing about Defty is it's a nice long dog bone. There's these 2 great big straights, and that's exactly what the Hornby Live Steam loves to run on. It's a very, very quirky piece of model railway history. If ever you get an opportunity to see someone running this, please do so. It's just so enjoyable seeing a small scale train blowing off some real steam. The next railway is another trip back in time. There's nothing wrong with that because we learn about how we failed today by looking at the good stuff from the past. It's called Greenwood. This is back when Hornby was very good. It's very simple, but I tell you what it's showing is very awesome. Hornby Dublo. This was between 1938 to 1963. You have to be careful with this because there are different eras within Dublo. I think the earlier stuff, like the pre-Second World War stuff, would be where the money is. And this train system really precedes the time when Plastic Fantastic started to take over model railways. What Hornby Dublo did was it consolidated 12 volts with OO scale, and that permeates even right up to today. So this was the beginning of what became a very fashionable scale of railway. The next layout is a shunting style layout. It is totally awesome when it comes to detail and just the way that it's finished off. It's called Industry Lane. The gentleman running this display was a lovely person called Gary. He's connected to a model railway forum called Platform 1 MRC. I think it stands for Model Railway Community. I had a bit of a look on there. I'll have a link about this display in the info area of this video, and it really details how this beautiful shunting yard was developed. There's a lot of very simple processes here in getting the final result, but I'd hate to think how many hours has been put into making this look so good. I'd like to sneak some photographs from the forums to show you how this plank-style shunting layout was developed. Gary explained to me how he does the uncoupling and the hidden magnets which are underneath the layout, and there are lampposts on the layout, so he knows where that area is. Most people wouldn't even think about, wow, how does that happen? Good thing about Gary was, it's like a performance when you're watching these shunting style layouts. These become very interesting when you see the prowess of the person moving the rail cars around, the uncoupling and coupling of things and shunting. That's what it's all about. And Gary said to me, hey, what do you want to see? And I said, hey, let's do a train wreck. And he was so eager to perform for me. It was very impressive. It was just great to see someone who had this amazingly detailed layout who wasn't so precious about wrecking trains. Hey, I've got to give him points for that. I loved seeing his work. And look down there how Gary has done the concrete there. He's even got cracked slabs. I mean, that's the sort of little refined details that makes it look so real. And how the 3D world morphs into a 2D world. Another cheat, which is really well done on this quite incredible shunting plank style layout. And as I always say, the devil is in the detail, and this has got tons of devil. The next layout will be a trip to Europe, and there's nothing wrong with going to Europe. Some good stuff comes out of Germany. This layout's called Glockenberg, I hope I'm saying it correctly, exhibited by Ian Williamson. I'm just reading from the booklet here. This HO scale German layout is run using automatic control and uses vintage Marklin rolling stock. Now, I'm not that versed up on Marklin, or is it Macklin? People say, "Oh, Leo, you don't say Marklin right." I say potato, you say potato. We all say things in a slightly different way because, hey, we all come from different parts of the world. The best way I could describe this layout, apart from being awesome, is it is a Guinness layout. When I say Guinness layout, there was an advertising campaign that Guinness beer did. Is Guinness a German beer as well? But geez, we're off into Europe in this one, aren't we? Where you sit back and watch. Very much a sit back and watch sort of layout because the stopping and going is all done automatically. Just very quickly on Marklin, there was that very inexpensive one I picked up at Aldi. Now, people are telling me, some people in the railway fraternity are saying, that was a very cheap and nasty set. Don't get too excited about it. Hey, what do you know about that style of Marklin versus the classic stuff? There's a bit of a story brewing about the one I picked up at Aldi, but we'll leave that for another video. The next railway layout we're going to take a look at, it's a little bit different. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being different. Different is often very interesting. It's called Waterman's Cove. It's exhibited by Hamish Fergus, and I'm reading from the little pamphlet here. This layout displayed in public for the first time depicts a holiday water wonderland in Middle America, with working cable car, multiple tracks winding in and out through it. Now, I did have a chat to Hamish here, and he was a little bit nervous because it's the first time he's been on show, and he started to explain to me some of the very simple things he had going on there, sort of like the cheats. The cable cars were done very cleverly, and what was happening was they actually weren't going round in the full circuit, they were stopping and then reversing. Going for a bit, they stop and then reverse. But in my mind, it looked like they went full circuit. Very clever. It was also a multi-layered layout as well. The layout had some secret doors where you could access trains when they went wrong on the circuit. It had a wonderful bridge feature at the front there. I'm wondering whether this is based on Aspen in Colorado, or I'm thinking Middle America. Mind you, that's a winter wonderland place, isn't it? And there's sort of like a harbour there. Do you have harbours in the middle of America? I don't. Maybe you do, mate. Hey, you tell me. What does it remind you of? Maybe it's a fictitious place made up of bits and bobs. I know the audience knows far, far more than me. The next layout is one of the constants at St. Luke's, and my son has driven this over the years and had lots of fun. It's called Penguin's Holt. This U-Drive layout has an animal theme that has been designed to be fun to watch. Children are welcome to try their hand at driving the trains completely free. And can you work out how the giraffes know when to duck? And as always, there's that classic Penguins roller coaster little toy in the middle. And from what people tell me in previous videos, the giraffe cars are classic Lionel rolling stock. The next layout is one which this info sheet explains. It's called Branxton. It's people from the North Shore Model Railway Club, should I say young teenagers, and it's what children who are into model railways can do when they get together and they are guided by someone who's a little bit older in getting them to pull off something miraculous. I can vaguely remember being this age, it's like a 13-year-old, and I remember how focused I used to be on some things and how much energy and time I'd put into it. In a sense, that's what this layout's all about. It's getting all that early teenage energy, producing something which will be fairly awesome. Now look back on the video and I remember what the children were up to here. They were basically getting as many engines as they could together on one track and making a very, very long freight train. I'm sure at one point we've all been there and done that, had that game where we can see how much we can haul on our model railways. That's what it's all about. That's what model railway is all about. It's about having fun. The next layout, it's a bit of a split system, goods power railway. I think this morphs and changes over time. It's from North Shore Railway Modelers Association Inc. And what I like here is you had like the upstairs bit, which was the more look but don't touch, but then you had the downstairs bit where you can reach in and play and fiddle and diddle and have a whole ton of fun. How many times have I said at these model railway exhibitions, if you can't engage with the audience and the children there, well, you're going to kill off the hobby. I think this is a very important layout because of the way it's been structured. To have it double layered, it's something you don't often see. My son got caught up playing on this layout with another little boy, and they had a whole lot of fun. And it was that little boy who nervously came up to me, and he must have known who I was. He said, "Leo, can I please have a Trackmaster Classic Henry?" And I ended up leaving a note to myself on the video here to remember this. I had a chat to his mum who was there as well. The boy that I met at the train show, Trackmaster Classic Henry. Trackmaster, he likes the classic Trackmaster. And I'm yet to deliver this. I've got some other boogie for him, but I have not forgotten you, Nathan. Okay, please. I've had spiders at home. That's my excuse. I've had a whole ton of spiders, and that has really derailed where I am at the moment in making videos for YouTube. So yeah, that was the 30th anniversary of the St. Luke's Model Railway exhibition. It's a very family-friendly show. It's very hands-on. Exhibitors there don't get anxious if children are touching things. That's why I like this train show. I don't sign off like I used to. Maybe you can tell me which exhibit you like the most, and maybe you can tell me the reason why. The one which sort of stuck in my mind was that classic Hornby vintage O Gauge. There's something about that was really, really nice. Maybe it was that Thomas the Tank. I nearly asked, well, how much would that be to buy? I didn't go there, but maybe one day I will.